back at it again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to UWW Live. I'm your host, Eric Olenowski. You're going to hear from, in my opinion, the top women's wrestler in the world. She's a 2015 world silver medalist, 2016 Olympic champion, 2017 world champion, 2018 world champion, 2019 world champion. Please welcome in Risako Kawai. Risako, welcome to the show.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
If you're not doing so already, please make sure you're following Risako Kawai on Instagram and Twitter at Risako_Kawai. But let's get into it. Risako, you're coming off winning your third world title. And for those who don't know, it may have been the most important of your career because the Tokyo Olympic Games are in Japan. And Japan set forth the standard that if you medal in Nur Sultan, you will head to the Tokyo Olympic Games. So let's evaluate your performance. In Nur Sultan, heading in, how did you feel? And overall, what were your takeaways from the tournament?
もうやるしかないっていう気持ちと、もう予選がすごく壮絶だったというか、今までにない経験だったので、もうここまで来たら絶対いけるっていう強い気持ちでした。
Now, I'm sure you have got to the point where you are by not settling on your gold medals. You have so many of them, but looking for key areas of improvement. You were up against Zhang Ningning in the finals of China, 9-0. You end up giving up the 4-point throw and then the 2 points for the exposure. So what were your takeaways from that gold medal match, and what do you have to improve on there?
やっぱり中途半端に攻めてはいけないことというか、最後の1点取ろうと思って勢い任せになってしまった部分が良くなかったので、最後までしっかり冷静でいなければいけないなと思いました。
Well, that was your third world title, but let's take it back to the beginning of your career and find out a little bit more about your personal journey. So let's start here. How did you get into wrestling? Why did you get into wrestling? When did you get into wrestling?
8歳の頃に始めて、お父さんもお母さんもレスリングをやっていたので、その影響で始めました。
And Yukiko, when did she start? Did she start the same time you did, or was she down the road a little bit?
ゆか子は、ゆか子も8歳からで、でも私の3つ下なので、私よりも後に始めて、ゆか子は寂しがり屋なので、お母さんが指導者をしていて、お母さんとに遊んでほしくて、構ってほしくて、私もやるって言ってゆか子は始めました。
Now, what motivates you and inspires you in your wrestling career?
いろんな世界選手権だったり、男子の試合だったり、いろいろ見てて、レスリングの奥深さというか、まだまだ自分は世界を取って結構レスリングを知っているつもりでいた時もあったんですけど、まだまだ知らないことの方が多くて、まだまだやることがたくさんあるんだなって感じて毎日やってます。
Can you share some of those matches you watched or wrestlers? Who were those? Because when you look at Japan, especially in women's wrestling.
オトゲロタクト君とチャカエフの試合とかすごい好きで、あとラシドフとアゼルバイジャンのなんだっけ名前、ハジアリじゃない、ハジアリです。65の男子の試合は結構好きでたくさん見てます。
And from what I did you say Rashidov as well?
ラシドフも。
ラシドフとハジアリフの試合がすごく面白くて、もう何回も見てしまう。
The infamous throw. And we won't get into that, but when you think of Japan in women's wrestling, Japan has consistently been the most dominant women's wrestling nation since the inception of the women's wrestling in the Olympic Games. Now you have Hitomi Obara, you have Saori Yoshido, Kaori Icho, Sarah Dosho, yourself, Iri Tosaka, the list goes on. Who did you look up to?
やっぱり沙織さんと香織さん、誰が一番っていうのはなくて、沙織さんと香織さんがすごい自分の中で大きい存在というか、沙織さんは近くで練習してたからっていう意味もあって、で香織さんもずっと同じ階級で、自分が勝手にライバルだと思ってやってたんで、存在はその2人がやっぱ一番大きいです。
Let's move to the Olympic Games, and we'll start with 2016. Do you remember ever setting a goal to become an Olympic champion?
もともと香織さんと同じ58キロ級で63に変えるって決めた時にはもう香織さんのいないところだから それ以外の人に負けるわけにいかないって思ったので、絶対勝つつもりでいました。
The dream of every athlete is to show up that one day and perform like you never have before, and that's what you did. In Rio, you outscore your opponents 29-2 and win the Olympic gold. Let's talk about the night after winning gold. Was it everything that you ever expected?
いやでもなんかオリンピックで初めて優勝した時も初めてでずっと夢見てたことなのに、どこか冷静でいて、練習みたいな試合をしてるっていう感覚がすごい大きかった、リオの時は。だから翌日もなんか金メダルは近くにあるけど、意外と冷静な自分がいました。
Can you give me a favorite moment that you have from winning Olympic gold? It is a dream of every athlete, and for you to be no nonchalant about it, it's funny. But can you give me your favorite moment?
家族が泣いて喜んでるのを見たときにそう、これがやっぱ喜んでくれたんだっていう、自分は冷静だけど家族がすごい泣いて喜んでるのを見て、すごいよかったよかった嬉しいってなりました。
And for you, we posted on Instagram the photos of you carrying your coach, carrying the flag.
でもオリンピックよりも2019の世界選手権の方が印象に残ってるというか、その予選から厳しくて本当に苦しい流れで掴んだ代表だったので、それをコーチと一緒に乗り越えてきて、でコーチも苦しい思いっていうか私が苦しんでいるのを知ってたので、そのコーチを喜ばせてあげれたことが嬉しかったので、リオよりも2019の方が印象深いというか、はい。
And we'll eventually get into your battle with Kaori Icho to make that 2019 World Team. But let's start here. Quick trivia question. Do you know how many multiple-time women's wrestling Olympic champions there have been? You have the opportunity to become the third women's wrestling two-time Olympic champion.
Yeah, I want to be one.
That's a goal that you have?
してる。はい、してます。はい。
Now, Tokyo received the Olympic Games September 7th, 2013. And you're saying you want to become a two-time Olympic champion. What would it mean for you to win the Olympics in Tokyo, in your home country of Japan, to become a two-time Olympic champion?
やっぱりその自国開催っていうのがそうそう自分が現役中に巡り合えるものじゃないっていう本当貴重な経験で、その大会に自分が出られるって本当ごくわずかな人しか経験できないことで、そこでさらにまた金メダルを取るってもっと大変なことだとは思ってるんですけど、やっぱりリオの時よりもやっぱ価値があるものじゃないかなって思うんで、なんていうんだろう、もっと特別なオリンピックになるんじゃないかなと思います。
And a little extra motivation. You mentioned not a lot of athletes have the opportunity to do so on home soil. You have the opportunity to wrestle at the Olympic Games with Yukiko next to your side. Your sister and you will wrestle at the Olympic Games together. And for those who don't know, her sister, Yukiko Kawai, was 2018 World Silver Medalist, 2019 World Bronze Medalist. What does it mean to have her by your side while you guys are going through this journey?
やっぱりさっき言ったようにオリンピック東京自国開催のオリンピックに出れるっていうことが本当貴重な経験で、さらにそれを姉妹でってなった時に、本当に、なかなか自分もまさかこういう経験できるとも思ってなかったし、これでもし2人で金メダルってなったらもう最高の親孝行じゃないかなと思って、幸せだなと思っています。
Moving to the drop from 63 kilos down to 57. After winning the gold in Rio, you dropped from 63 down to 57. Can you talk about why that decision was made?
もともとリオの前が58でやってた私自身が。なんで、リオの時に階級を変えたから、終わって元に戻しただけ。下げたっていうよりも戻した。
And when you made this decision, were you under the impression that Kaori Icho was retired for good?
もしかしたらって思ってましたね。その年齢的にも、もしかしたらこれで最後なのかなって思ったけど、どっかでずっと追いかけてた分、まだやってほしい。でも苦しい戦いって分かってたけど、もしかしたらいなくなっちゃうのかなっていう気持ちも少しありました。
And for those who don't know, just adding a little background, Kaori Icho, of course, the four-time Olympic champion, won was looking at making an unprecedented run to a 5th Olympic title, and you guys faced off 3 times for the spot in Nur-Sultan, once at the Emperor's Cup, once at the Meiji Cup, and then once at the Special Wrestle-Off. And you lost that initial matchup, and there was speculation that you may retire after that loss. Is that true?
本当にやめようと思って、予想以上にそのリオの前に香織さんに勝ちたいと思ってやってた時と状況が違いすぎて、その自分がオリンピック取ったことによって少し知名度も上がって、その注目のされ方が異常なほどだったので逃げ出したくなったので、もうやめようって思いましたね。
What made you come back?
妹の由香子がその黙々と練習してる姿を見て、もう妹がこんな頑張ってるのに姉が何もできないんじゃダメだなと思って、自然とその練習する姿を見てやらなきゃって思いました。
And just to wrap this session up, it was a 6-4 win at the All Japan Invitational, also known as the Meiji Cup, and then a 3-3 win in the Special Wrestle-Off to earn the Nur-Sultan spot. And then, of course, as I mentioned, you win your 3rd consecutive world title. And let's move to someone else who was in retirement and now came out of retirement, Helen Maroulis. Champion from Rio is moving to 57. What are your thoughts when you heard that Helen Maroulis will be moving to 57 kilos?
でも彼女はそのリオで53キロ級で出て、私はその後に彼女が減量を結構してるなっていう印象だったので、次もしかしたらやるかもしれないっていうのはなんとなく予想はしていたので、驚きはしてない。
Now, we'll get to the fan questions. When you look at 57 kilos, this may be, in my opinion, this is the deepest weight class in the world, right behind or right in front of 76 kilos. You have Helen Maroulis, Zhang Ningning, Linda Murray, world champion who's coming to the weight class, Odunayo Adekaroye, Grace Bullen, Irina Kurachkina, Anastasia Nichita. So this is a fan question from Matt Rafat. And Matt, thank you so much for all your support. But who do you look forward to competing against the most out of that list?
世界選手権でやってない人とやりたい。戦ってないオドゥナヨさんとかはやったから、まだやってない、世界選手権でやってない、まだそのノルウェーの子だったり、グレイスとかともやってみたい。いろいろなレスリングを肌で感じて、その試合で戦ってみたい気持ちがあります。
And they both pose different threats. Of course, Odunayo Adekaroye, 2-time world bronze medalist from Nigeria. Long, lanky, Grace Bullen from Norway, U23 world champion, super explosive. But let's move to Emily Ferenzi asks, what's your favorite country that you've competed in?
フランス、パリ。
Paris.
France.
What was your favorite part? Because I know you're into fashion, if I'm not mistaken. So what was your favorite part about Paris?
She likes the crescents. The crescents.
What is your next goal?
東京オリンピック一番はやっぱり。
Of course.
Makino 50 kilos asks, what do you tell yourself what do you tell yourself when you're preparing for a match?
自分がやってきた練習は間違いじゃないから、もうここで実力を出せないと練習で苦しんだ自分がかわいそうだって、もうやるしかないって思ってます。
What a great message. And this is the last one. And since I'm a fan of yours, I'm going to selfishly ask this. If you could wrestle anybody in their prime, male or female, who would you like to compete against?
難しいな。そのロシアのその65の人とかともう試合っていうよりも一回打ち込みでもいいからやらせてほしい。ラシドフとかどんな感じかを肌で感じてみたい。
Yeah, and that's the deepest weight class in the world. Of course, Gazimured Rashidov just won the Russian national championships at that weight last weekend. But that's going to do it for this show. I want to thank Risako Kawai. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure in speaking with you.
ありがとうございました。Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And if you're not already doing so, once again, please make sure to follow Risako on Instagram and Twitter at Risako_Kawhi. And if you're not doing so already, please make sure you're following United World Wrestling on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. That's going to do it for today's show. Until next time, so long, wrestling fans.
Wrestling